We're doing it live.
Hello. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion, where Andrew is the voice of reason. So you know you've wandered into the wrong place, but we are protected.
Just remember, it gets better.
I hope so. God, I hope so. We are covered by the BIP no government license, which allows for the use and reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also protected by Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to, inciting, or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything said here on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion is entirely hypothetical. This is episode 180. And we got a few updates on past stories. And then Samo, we're going to be talking about Somalia. Again, we're going back there still. Yeah.
We're still fighting in Somalia.
which is when did the U.S. initially go into Somalia?
91.
So
right?
30 years?
The Black Hawk Down incident was 93, right?
Yeah, well, no, that was 91 because that was
91.
Or no, that was about 93. You're right. That was about
93,
93. Yeah.
So 30 years ago.
Yeah, because we went initially into Somalia right around the same time as Desert Storm was kicking off.
Yeah, peacekeeping.
Well,
totally.
Desert Shield.
Totally peacekeeping.
Black Hawk Down happened December 9th, 1992.
92. Okay.
So 29 and a half years ago then.
You got to love the wisdom too of as soon as a fight turns into an actual fight. Oh, let's pull out everybody right now. Because it was absolutely all of that death and destruction was worth absolutely nothing. So
yeah, I mean it's
well, we've had boots on the ground in some capacity in Somalia that entire time, haven't we?
Yeah, nonstop.
So
even when troops were pulled out, even when troops were pulled out, there were still PMCs.
Well, there was still actual truth. The agency's been there nonstop the whole time. And
prior to 91.
Yeah, they've been there a very long time. Well, the agency was there when the government collapsed. I mean, and I was saying before the show, I brought Somalia is what happens when a government simply goes click off and just isn't there anymore. If you could wave a magic wand in the United States and go, and no more government, you would have what you have in Somalia in a matter of months, where it's just
hashtag forever purge.
Yeah, it'd just be this nonstop, all of these warring factions trying to take power because power abhors a vacuum, and you haven't changed anybody's minds yet to whether or not anyone should be in power and everything else, and no one's had time to organize, nothing. So you wind up with all these warring factions. I mean, half of the warlords were generals and stuff in the Somali military when the government was still functional. I mean, and technically it nominally still has a government, not that it counts for anything, but it does have one.
Kinda. I mean, is it internationally recognized? The current Somali quote unquote government?
Yeah, they still the international community still recognizes a government. They're the only ones who do, but they do. No one else there does. But
Afghanistan before Afghanistan became Afghanistan.
Yeah, and that's the irony. Black Hawk Down stuff is if Farah Aidid had been able to do what he was trying to do, he was a former general, remember, from the Somali military. If he'd been able to do what he was doing, he was basically trying to reconsolidate power in the country and just declare himself essentially a dictator. If he had been allowed to do that, we might not have quite so many problems in Somalia now. I mean, dictators still suck, don't get me wrong, but they're much easier to take down, for the people and replace.
Yeah, monarchies are. It's one snake's easier to kill than
it's like an IT, a single point of failure as opposed to multiple.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's that
And it's still
that
some
anarchist thought
semblance of
experiment.
stability in the region. Kind of
Yeah,
like
it's
Saddam Hussein in Iraq. Same thing. It was stability, although chaos.
Yeah.
And
Well, you can
Like,
say the same kind of
shitty
the same
stability.
thing. Yeah.
like Maduro in Venezuela.
yeah, like Maduro in Venezuela. What
Thank
a
you.
segue.
Thank you for the backup on that segue. Venezuela plans stock sale and break from socialist model.
What a surprise that it's falling apart. Whoever could have guessed?
Venezuela's government is seeking private investors to pump funds into vital but crippled state-run companies, decades after seizing them from private investors in the name of
You
socialism.
don't say.
It's almost like central planning of an entire economy doesn't work.
Ever.
The government on Monday intends to offer 5% to 10% stakes in companies ranging from telephone and internet service providers to petrochemical producers.
So all the industries that were privatized before.
So they want private investors to give them money so that they can keep running a business that they've seized and ran into the ground from private businesses. As private as a mega corporation is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh.
But still, what?
Yes. In another country,
Don't worry,
these
folks.
industries might be attractive targets for investors, but questions remain as to who would be willing and able to take a minority position in the Venezuelan companies that have suffered from years of neglect and mismanagement.
I'll give them tree fitty.
Well, honestly,
I got you
$3.50 would probably get you a 35 to 40% stake in most of those.
Let's see. Let's see. U.S. to Venezuelan.
To the Bolivar?
Yeah, to the Bolivar. Let's see. Let's look it up.
Named for Simón Bolivar, the revolutionary who helped free most of the Central and South American countries from Spanish and Portuguese rule.
So by official inflation, let's see. By official inflation, $3.50 is about $17 of the sovereign Bolivar.
Oh my!
Yes,
$17. There's 17 Bolivar. That is holy crap.
Okay. To the Venezuelan Bolivar.
Okay, there we go.
$3.50 US dollars is 1,728,344 Venezuelan bolivars.
You see this nickel?
I'm opening my phone. Oh.
So just for
exactly what came to my mind.
just for proof, $3.50. There.
And that's current as of right now as we're recording, because it always fluctuates. But as of right now, this recording, that's how much it's worth.
Yes. That was
we are
updated.
Venezuelan billionaires.
So that was updated May
Yeah.
23rd.
Broke as fuck, and I'm a Venezuelan billionaire. All right.
That's, you know what? That's another T-shirt that we really need. I'm a billionaire in Venezuela.
Let's see.
You know, Venezuela's
Okay,
at the point where you could
the
walk
12
up to it
the
and just poke it
1,200
and fall
The
over.
$1,200 stimmies that were handed out to us would be worth 592,575,287 Venezuelan bolivars.
Wow.
Gotta love that
mean,
exchange rate.
If you could get the company to be run by your people instead of the Venezuelan people,
Yes.
you could make an absolute killing on a very tiny investment, especially with the oil and gas. That's
Okay, so one
serious.
US dollar, currently $1 US is equal to 493,812 Venezuelan bolivars.
Dave says he's getting on that shirt, Andrew.
Oh, so $1 $1
Nice.
is worth half a
Yes.
million bolivars.
Dave, I'm a 2X, all right? Just send it
Yeah.
here.
Same here.
That exchange rate. Let's see.
Gotta love that exchange rate.
So as Josh said, that the nickel is 24,690 bolivars.
I'm gonna buy a car. I have some pocket change.
Right?
Some USD pocket change.
You know, I bet you could go down there and pick up a Hilux and drive it home.
Hell yeah. You know, I could go down there and I could be a moderate rebel and just get a bunch of military hardware from the United States government.
And then bring it home.
There you go.
And then bring it home. Which I could also do in Somalia.
As I say, I'll meet you in Texas with a boat to get it across the Rio Grande. And only in Minecraft, folks. Only in Minecraft.
Let's see. So I'm on Numbeo, Numbeo, talking about food prices in Venezuela. In the current U.S. dollar. So like a loaf of fresh bread is about 53 cents U.S.
Holy shit, it's like American 1970s prices.
Yes.
Right?
Nice.
Damn.
Let's see. Yeah, local cheese, 44 cents. No. They spend about $6.14 per US dollar on food per person, and a monthly for one person would be about $190 US.
Holy crap. Not bad.
I would love that. Shit.
I think cash out my 401k. Babe, we're going to Venezuela.
I heard her. What?
Counterpoint, though, you are at that point in Venezuela.
So $190 US, that's about the monthly, is 93,824,420 nice Venezuelan bolivars. So it's basically it's 100 million bolivars for a month worth of food in Venezuela right now.
I'm gonna start offering people like to pay for their vehicles, like for exotics, but I'm gonna be like, but unfortunately, all I have is bolivar, so I'll give you 1 million in Venezuelan bolivar. That's probably. I'm not familiar with the exchange rate, but that should be about equivalent, right? That's
yes.
That sounds right.
Yes. This is the quote. This is the one that just sends me over the top. This is a quote from Maduro. He says, quote, "We need capital for the development of all public companies. We need technology, we need new markets, and we are going to move forward."
By sheer force of will, like you're just gonna will that to happen? Because
Mm-hmm.
You can force of will in one hand, shit in the other. I can tell you which one's going to fill up first.
Yes. It's a market departure from Maduro's predecessor, the late President Hugo Chavez, who nationalized many companies in his bid to transform the South American company into a socialist state. Among the companies Maduro mentioned are CAN-TV and its subsidiary, petrochemical producer Petroquímica de Venezuela, and a conglomerate focused in the mining sector. Interest, however, will be limited to investors with ties to the government and those with an appetite for risk.
Huge risk.
No shit.
I mean, that's and that's the thing too. Is remember Venezuela has more oil underneath it than all of the OPEC countries combined.
Yep.
And it has more exploitable oil.
And I did read today that Biden removed some of the sanctions on Venezuela in hopes of lessening gas prices here in the United States. Which,
in other words, they're trying to bribe the Venezuelans to send us their oil.
Venezuelans' oil, their oil production is shit right now. So they would have to get investors to go down there, rebuild the factories, rebuild the mining, then put it on ships, then move it to the United States, then all the refinery stuff, and then it would get to us. So like 6-8 months.
Yeah, that's not helpful.
And And
Oh my
again,
God.
that's with the hope of will. It's just like
It's
you still got to
this
convince
is
people to invest. So you're looking more like 2 years, 3 years before any of that happens.
well, and not only do you have to convince people to invest, but you have to convince people to invest into a company that is nationalized and can be taken back away from them at any time, and they only get a minority stake, and they don't get any actual control whatsoever. And it's a company that's already been run into the ground by the people who are going to continue to run it. So
They're better
this
off
is the
taking
equivalent.
that stack of money and lighting it on fire and saying, "Yay, I invested."
Yeah, this is the equivalent, right, of like going, okay, well, I know that Enron is not doing real hot right now, but if you just give us $100 million, we can hold it together.
Yes. The percentage Maduro announced would not give private investors decision-making powers to undertake the much-needed changes within the corporations. At the turn of the century, Chavez carried out a series of takeovers in the electricity, telecommunications, natural gas, and oil sectors, but the government made minimum investments in some of these companies, which left them providing substandard services. Day-long power outages are common across the country. Millions of households either do not have access to water or the service is intermittent. Internet and phone services are deficient.
Wait, are you suggesting that perhaps the government is not as good as private companies at running private companies?
That's such a novel concept. Terrible. It's almost like we've been talking about this shit for fucking years.
Yeah. Government supporters and opponents alike complain about poor basic services across the country, even if an electrician or even if an election is not approaching. But economists point out that Venezuela's government needs to improve some of these services, even if it is slightly ahead in the 2024 presidential election. Quote, we are no doubt seeing a paradigm shift that is largely forced by circumstances, but is also fueled by political survival. That's a quote from Luis Prado, senior economist with the firm Torino Capital.
Let it fail.
Quote,
let it shrivel up and
since
fail.
June 2014, with a significant drop in oil prices, the Maduro administration began to see a drop in oil revenue. Then we went through a period from 2014 to 2019 of price controls and a more intervening state. Here's another quote for you. But the state lost the ability to generate wealth and growth. And, quote, it began to make room for participation of the private sector. No, it created a black market.
Yeah, it could. States cannot generate wealth. That is not a thing that they can do. Everything the state has was taken from someone else.
Stop breaking windows.
Yeah, exactly. It's, I mean, we're, it's just the stupidity here. And don't forget Bernie fucking Sanders praised Chavez and Maduro.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders also said it's a good thing about people standing in line to get bread in the Soviet Union.
Well, I mean, he took his honeymoon in Moscow. I mean, enough said.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we always knew he was an old waspy commie, but
Yeah.
Never held a real job. He was a politician right out of high school.
Yeah, he's always been a politician, and yet has 3 houses.
I was gonna say, isn't that the case for most
and a sports car.
Of the Democrats?
No, some of them used to be baristas.
or
bartenders.
To be fair, she would have made a hell of a lot more money as a porn star.
Her OnlyFans would be rocking.
Did you guys all saw that photo that I posted in the Telegram chat, right, with all the beers from the Minocqua Brewing Company that are their progressive line of beers? So there's like,
I did not.
Oh, there's the Evers Ale and the Biden beer and the Bernie Brew, the AOC IPA. There's I forget what else, and there's Fair Maps.
Let's see.
And like
Bernie Brew. There's AOC IPA, Biden beer, Fair Maps, Evers Ale. Yeah.
Yeah, there's filibuster is another one.
Yeah, that's
and
the
then
one.
choice.
Biden
That's the
beer.
donkey on it.
One is just has a comma and la for Kamala.
Yeah, the
Bernie
Kamala one. Yeah.
Brew, AOC IPA, Evers Ale, Tanny
it's-
Shandy.
It's modern Billy Beer, and if you know the story about Billy Beer, that should tell you a lot.
Yeah, well, and I laughed and I said, yes, it's all of that beer is clearly incredibly overpriced and will make you almost immediately sick. So it is kind of appropriately named.
Like AOC on a hipster IPA. I'm just putting that out. You've seen her fiance. You know what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That motherfucker drinks IPA that we've never heard of.
You wouldn't know it. It's from Japan. It's a small microbrewery. It's like 3 people.
They recycle their hops, bro.
Just...
And you know, I know the local company I was holding up before the show, Hillsboro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having their Leaping Lemur cream ale tonight. It's actually really good. They're not exactly freedom oriented, but they're local, and as Andrew will attest, they make a halfway decent beer.
They do. I guarantee you that none of those progressive beers are any good though. Like they're obviously they sound good.
They sound good. Like their descriptions sound fantastic, but I guarantee you that they taste awful salty with all the tears and.
Ultimately, they're incredibly unfulfilling and deliver on absolutely none of the promises made on the can.
Right?
So a politician in beer form.
Well, they're named for politicians.
They're named for politicians, so you know, it makes perfect sense.
All right.
So they're true to name.
Hinkle Garcia, director of the Crocus-based firm Economica, ECONOMETRICA. Economica? Yeah, said the companies require significant investments to improve the quality of their services, which were much better before they were nationalized.
What?
But
no shit.
He warned that the country lacks a mechanism to oversee the accounting and financial reporting procedures of the companies, making it impossible to guarantee the private investment in the state companies would be appropriately spent.
What a shock!
I'm just throwing it out there. Venezuela. Go ahead.
I got one paragraph, and I know Andrew's going to go off. Okay.
Oh, I have to get this in before Andrew goes off. Then, okay. What Venezuela really needs is their own Saint Hemeyer. Gonna leave it at that.
These are the people that beat zoo animals to death with rocks so they could eat.
Mm-hmm.
They can't afford a bulldozer. The missing
but they
component,
could steal one of the government bulldozers.
Well, the missing component, he said, creates a scenario similar to post-Soviet reforms in which large number of state-owned companies were privatized.
Does anybody recall what happened in Russia immediately after Soviet collapse? The entire country was run by mafias. Yeah. You had separate mafias per region. You had a mafia that ran the train system.
You know what's funny? This is the exact same thing that Cuba is currently doing, and they've had a bloom. Cuba started saying, "Hey, yeah, you guys can privatize this and that and that and this." And their tourism is back, and their industries are back, and
they.
Honestly, I want to go to Cuba just to see the old cars.
Yes.
Yeah, they actually the taxi drivers were one of the first things to be allowed to be privatized and didn't have price controls anymore, and so you had like neurosurgeons leaving their jobs to go drive taxi because they couldn't make more.
Yep.
Yes. Quote, if this really is the beginning of the total sale or the total handing over of the companies, which for me is a probable scenario, one would have to ask as to whom they would be handed over, because we have episodes like the Russian one in which these companies had once belonged to the state, ended up in the hands of people who were close to the government. Quote, so it's a complex phenomenon that one could say it opens the door to something positive, but with the institutional weakness we have and with the lack of credible referees, it might not be the best way.
So what you're saying is that it creates an even bigger oligarchy by having people close to the government invest their private money in these companies?
And where did the money that the people who are close to the government in a socialist government, where
Come
did that
from?
money come from? It came from, the government that stole it from everybody else.
And gave
Well,
it
yeah.
to the
Isn't
haves. And
Maduro's kid has an Instagram and posts pictures all the time with fancy cars, models, and
Oh, yeah.
bikinis and trips to the Middle East and
Oh yeah, there's there are I know of a couple of people who are still trying to get their hands on Qusay Hussein's abandoned F40 Ferrari that had so many layers of paint. It has a ridiculous amount of layers of paint. I don't know if you've probably never seen an actual F40, but if you see a real actual Ferrari F40 and you look really closely, the paint, the Corsa paint, is actually transparent, semi-transparent, and you can see the carbon fiber weave through the paint.
Yep.
It's a really cool effect. This thing, Qusay had so much money because Hussein was stealing it all from, the nationalized oil industry. He had so much money that when he wanted to drive it, he would have it repainted to match his outfit for the day. So there's now like 18 layers of paint on this thing.
Yeah.
It's utterly ridiculous.
I can't think of a single capitalist who would invest 5 to 10% in a state-run business in Venezuela.
No.
No.
That would just be absurd.
You'd be investing in something that's destined to fail in the first fucking place.
Yeah, you might as well just, if you feel like investing that money, just pile it up and just set it on fire and be like there, and it's still more efficient use.
Yeah, remember like Weimar Republic, right? There was
heat.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at with Weimar Republic. There were reports that people were burning the money that was given to them because it was cheaper than buying firewood.
Yeah.
And we've all seen the picture. We've all seen. I think Andrew actually owns one of the $100 billion Zaire or Zimbabwe dollar.
The Zimbabwean dollar, yeah.
Zimbabwean dollar, which bought like 3 eggs and a loaf of bread.
Well, I mean, also you really think about it, and down there you start seeing all of this people burning their money. Remember early on when I first got on the show, they were talking about how it was cheaper to use Venezuelan money for toilet paper than to use it to buy toilet paper.
Yeah, we did a story. We did a story about on the real life market. The coinage from Warcraft was worth more than a Venezuelan bolívar.
Right now, even with the cryptocurrency tank, a single Dogecoin or
Luna is worth more.
Yeah. Luna, or even some of the other shit coins like Shiba Inu and stuff like that, they're worth more than the Venezuelan bolivar.
Yeah, bolivar is terrible. But
when Bitcoin started out, because it only cost $10,000 to buy a pizza, it was worth more.
That's today, by the way. That's today, by the way. Bitcoin Pizza
anniversary?
Day. Today's the 11th anniversary or 12th anniversary of Bitcoin Pizza Day, in which a guy traded 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 Papa John's pepperoni pizzas. Right, 10,000 Bitcoin right now is like $290 million.
Yeah, I'm sure Laszlo is very happy that he made that decision.
He actually I think it was 5 or 6 years ago he did an interview and he said he doesn't regret it because somebody had to be first.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I see. I can see that.
And he's right, because if he hadn't been the one to spend the Bitcoin on the pizza, somebody else would have, and they would go down in history as, I was the first one to buy something with this. And I mean,
you guys remember talking about the Amish farmer Amos Miller?
Amos Miller.
Vague. Why does that sounds familiar? But I don't.
Lancaster County. He was selling organic milk raw organic milk, and the USDA came down, hit him over the head, literally.
Yep.
And said, "We want to inspect everything," and he said, "Fuck you, no." and the USDA said, we're going to pull your license. Right. Well, now he is facing a possible criminal contempt hearing. They're still fucking with him. So, a last straw for ongoing saga. Upper Leac farmer Amos Miller refusal to comply with the federal judge's orders following the food safety laws. He may finally have gotten to it. Miller will face a contempt hearing this Friday. But unlike last June's hearing where the U.S. District Judge Edward G. Smith found Miller in civil contempt, this hearing could be criminal. So because Miller or Amos keeps saying, hey, I'm going to pay. The judge is like, okay, hurry up and pay. Amos hasn't paid anything. And
come and get me.
Now they're threatening to throw him in jail. So, but Miller's Organic Farm describes itself as a private club that sells only to members. Which Miller
I remember
claims,
that. He
claims the arrangement is exempts the farm from federal regulations. So they
well, I mean, he's not wrong.
No.
Yeah, well, they're threatening to throw him in jail. Miller's facing a contempt hearing in part because he has not paid $105,065. That was his fine from the USDA.
It's behind Josh and it's behind me. Makes pretty clear.
No. Miller told the judge he sent his attorney a check for $50,000, but the bank froze his line of credit after bank officials learned of the trouble through the media.
So let me just get this straight. So the guy had his money frozen because of the legal trouble, which is why he can't pay them for the legal trouble.
Yep.
Yes. He shouldn't have to pay in the first place, but.
And Bruised Wayne is right. The Amish Durock, it's pretty cool when I can go down and for $50 I can get 6 bundles of slab wood to build a cabin with.
So, yeah.
Just absolutely absurd. And he wasn't hurting anyone. Again, you had to join the club.
Okay, hold on. There were 2. He's been doing this for a long time, but there were 2 people that got sick from listeria. And the strain of listeria test similar, not exact, similar to one of the samples they got from Amos Miller.
Well, if it's not exact, then it's not his shit that's causing it. It's
no shit.
Exactly.
You know what causes listeria outbreaks all the time? Fucking lettuce.
Lettuce. Yes.
Yep.
Which is why you don't eat rabbit food.
No, you do eat rabbit food. You do eat rabbit food. I eat rabbit food, but you eat the rabbit food that you grow.
Yes. Besides not paying the $105,065, Miller has also been filing various paperwork, which Assistant U.S. Attorney Gerald Sullivan characterized as, quote, sovereign citizen mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, I love that every time people start going, well, under your own law, I can do this, and this. And then their response is, well, that's just sovereign citizen mumbo jumbo. Well, no, it's literally the law, and they just know it better than you, and you just don't like it.
Yes. Right. So, Miller first came to attention to the federal authorities in 2016 when the FDA said it identified listeria in samples of Miller's milk. The agency found the listeria to be genetically similar to the bacteria found in 2 people who developed listeriosis. Not the same, genetically similar.
Yeah, which means it's not the same strain of listeria.
Yes. So
they're the thing that got them sick.
They're threatening to throw him in a cage. So,
without a monopoly on kidnapping, who would come and kidnap us for selling our own products?
Another update. You guys remember last July, August, we covered an article with Derica about a guy in Minneapolis who was leaving a protest when a van drove by filled with police officers.
Right, they're going to do the drive-by, basically.
That's what they did. The police officers drove by, saw a bunch of people in the parking lot, and opened fire on them with rubber bullets and the rubber rings. and a guy returned fire with his pistol, not knowing who they were. It was an unmarked man, and they came over, and as soon as he saw they were police, he put the gun down, and they beat the shit out of him. Right?
Yep.
I remember seeing this video again just a couple weeks ago.
Yep. Minneapolis to pay $1.5 million to man police shot from unmarked van.
With inflation, that accounts to about 500,000. Just throwing it out there.
If that. That'll be worth like $30 in a couple of weeks.
Right?
Still buys me a cabin.
They're going to give it.
Use it real fast.
Right? I was going to say they're going to give it to him in a wheelbarrow so we can go and use it really quick.
The piece of property I want in Idaho is 1.1495. So I mean, you can do that and have 5,000 left over. The city of Minneapolis has agreed to pay $1.5 million plus legal fees to a 29-year-old St. Paul man found not guilty last year on charges relating to shooting at police officers during the unrest that followed the murder of George Floyd in 2020. In the days after Floyd's killing, after a curfew had gone into effect, police officers roving in an unmarked van shot plastic bullets at Jaleel Stallings without warning, according to body camera footage released by Stallings' lawyer after the story was first reported by the Minnesota Reformer. Stallings returned fire with a pistol, which he had a permit to legally carry, and what he later described as an attempt to defend himself against shots from an unknown assailant. A swarm of officers descended on Stallings. Body camera and security footage shows him surrender once police identified himself, and the officers punch and kick him repeatedly while he lay face down in the parking lot.
Real quick, peace out, Flip Flat. Thanks for joining us. Come and watch the rest of the show later.
Yeah. After a jury found him not guilty of attempted murder and assault, Stallings filed a federal lawsuit alleging that 19 Minneapolis officers violated his constitutional rights by using force to intimidate and deter him from protesting police irony. They did a real good job of that.
We're going to use police brutality against you for protesting police brutality.
We police are not brutalizing you, and if you say so, we will beat the living shit out of you.
And they got that entirely on video, right?
Right.
Okay.
I remember.
The city attorney offered a judgment in the case, which Stallings accepted, according to the court documents filed Tuesday. The offer states that the city and police are not admitting liability in the case, and that they, quote, expressly deny the validity of Stallings' claims.
But yeah, you're going to pay him $1.5 million in the first place.
Yes.
Why would you agree to that? No, I want them to admit.
Yes, I want a letter of fucking apology for them rolling up hot.
Yeah, I want them fucking fired is what I want. I want them fired. I want that entire special group to be disbanded.
Yeah, you're literally reading ahead of me.
Oh.
In an interview Tuesday, Stallings said he's satisfied with the outcome because it, quote, validates the harm he faced. Quote, but it's disappointing because the goal of the civil suit was not a check. It was getting justice and accountability, and I don't feel like I've received that. I don't feel like anything has been done to hold the officers accountable or change the culture of policing that leads to these incidents.
And it won't.
Yeah.
It won't because all they did, you accepted their offer, and in their offer was included basically saying, we are not necessarily at fault for what happened, but we're going to give you money so you shut the fuck up.
Yeah, how is this any different?
It's hush money.
This isn't any different than like if a Hollywood actor molests a kid and then the kid sues them over it and then they just get paid a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And like, is that justice? No, that isn't justice. Like, yeah, it's great that they got money, but they were still freaking molested and nothing happened to the
they literally figured lawsuits into the police budget now.
Yeah. And I mean, this is no different than Trump giving Stormy Daniels a bunch of money to shut up. It's the exact same thing. The only difference is this is a police department doing it and not the great Chairman Cheeto.
Well,
So
I mean,
only
Trump did it.
all
Trump did it
across
though
the
as a
country,
private
all the
citizen
time.
to a private citizen, and you know, it's not like Trump did anything actually wrong there.
Right. No, Trump
it was
didn't do
just
anything
like,
wrong.
hey, seriously,
but-
shut the hell up.
Right. Here's some money. Sign this paper. You keep the money.
He didn't
you
kick
shut
anybody, He didn't kick anybody in the mouth.
Well,
Yeah,
that's true.
remember that you don't pay prostitutes to screw you. You pay prostitutes to leave.
More or less. Yeah.
Yeah. As the Stallings was charged with 8 felonies, including 2 counts of attempted murder, rioting, and assault with a dangerous weapon. In the criminal complaint, the officers said they kicked Stallings because he resisted arrests.
Except if you watch the video, he absolutely was resisting nothing.
No, he dropped his weapon, he put his hands up, and then they came and beat the fuck out of him.
Yeah, Stallings said prosecutors offered him a plea deal that included 12 years in prison. He said he believed he was innocent and he couldn't live with himself taking a plea. Then a jury found Stallings not guilty by reason of self-defense last year on all accounts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's good that he didn't take the plea, because that's what the state counts on a lot of times, is they count on, even when they're in the wrong, they count on you going, well, I don't want to risk this, so I'll take what they're offering me. You have to be willing to keep rolling the dice and force juries to, force them to present to a jury, 12 people, what
Call their bluff, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to tell them to lick your balls.
Right, and remember that the prosecution needs the prosecution needs to convince all 12 people that you're guilty. You only need to convince one person that you're not.
That you're not, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there are times where a plea deal is the better option, but most of the time, no. Not in situations like this where they have body cameras and there's footage and like you get all that. Like your defensive lawyer will get a copy of all that. You can tell he was not in the wrong.
Yeah, and even when they know they don't have a case, if they can, they will delay that case and delay that case and delay that case and force your life on hold forever if they can.
That's
so that
from
you
experience.
eventually.
They would never do that.
Yeah, that's from firsthand experience. That's exactly what they do. Is they delay? They have no case, no evidence, no nothing, and they just delay and delay and delay and delay, so that eventually you wear down enough that you will take a plea.
Just like they do with civil asset forfeiture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice segue.
Oh, it's a segue to the article I didn't share with you guys.
Oh, I knew you were setting us up for that one. So,
Michigan couple says town seized their building and then offered to return it if they bought 2 cars for police.
Fuck you.
What the fuck?
Give me back my fucking property.
I think we mentioned this. We mentioned this at the very end of the last episode that we spotted this article.
I will read the headline again. Michigan couple says town seized their building and offered to return it if they bought 2 cars for police.
So what were the grounds under which the building was seized?
From government.
Yeah, this is extortion.
Yeah.
This is
when you look up the word.
Extortion.
Yeah, when you look up the word extortion in the dictionary,
you get this headline.
This is a listed example of what extortion would be.
This is number 1 on the definition of extortion.
Oh, you know this. You know this gets better, right?
Oh God!
Hold on.
This article is so good.
Everybody who's watching right now, here you go. Hold on.
Okay. A Michigan couple says their town seized a building they owned and then demanded that they buy 2 cars for the police department to get their property back.
Which town was this?
We will get into that.
My response would be, I'm sorry, I can't afford any police cars. I just bought a bulldozer.
The case first reported by the case first reported by WXYZ Detroit began in December 2020 when the mayor of Highland Park and the police chief dropped by a 13,000 square foot building owned by Justina and Matt Kozable for an impromptu fire code inspection. The city officials found a marijuana grow operation inside. The Kozables, immigrants from Poland, said they had a state license to grow medical marijuana, but the city seized the building anyway and held on to it for 17 months without charging them with a crime. Under civil asset forfeiture laws, police can legally seize property, cash, cars, even houses, suspected of being connected to criminal activity like drug trafficking, whether or not the owner has been charged with a crime. But not only were the Kosovo's never charged with a crime, police never alleged that there was any major criminal activity.
Because they had a fucking license.
They paid their extortion to the state. They went through all the proper processing and all of that fun shit, and they still got fucked with.
Hold on.
Yeah, the city wants their extortion now.
Exactly.
In a response to an interrogatory filed by the Kosovo's subsequent lawsuit against Highland Park, a city police officer answered none when asked to identify any predicated felony offenses justifying the seizures.
And who, I ask, wrote the bill that allows this? Helped sponsor this and push this? He's real familiar to people. His name starts with a J and a B.
Hold on. Things took a highly unusual turn when the Kosovo said they received a settlement offer from the town. Quote, stop growing marijuana and buy 2 vehicles for the local police department.
They had a fucking license to grow the shit.
They'd already paid you. Like I said, sorry, can't buy the
your
cars.
Extortion fee, license to grow the shit. Then you want them to stop with what they're legally licensed to fucking do, and buy 2 cars for your local fucking tyrants on the
for the thugs who
road.
took their building in the first place. How is this different than
lick
a fucking
my
mob?
fucking balls.
Oh, it's better than that because they have it in writing.
I love it.
I was just going to ask too. Did they actually make the mistake? Did the city make the mistake of sending that in writing? Because if they did,
in an email.
Oh,
that's fantastic. I love it. I absolutely love the ineptitude of government. This is fantastic.
February 24th, 2021 email provided 2 reasons by the Kosovo's attorney shows that a Highland Park police officer ferrying a message from City Attorney Terry Ford said the Kosovo's quotes for 2 cars from a local Ford dealership totaling about $70,000.
Yes. Fuck you, whatever city you are.
Which also means that if I'm suing them,
Highland Park, Michigan.
Yeah, which also means if I'm suing them, I am also lodging a formal complaint with the State Bar Association against that attorney to get them hopefully disbarred for illegal activity. At least censured, but hopefully disbarred.
No, that attorney deserves to be fucking disbarred because that is straight up extortion.
Oh, no, hold on. Hold that message for...
Oh, this is a Detroit suburb too. That's fantastic.
3 paragraphs. Hold on for 3 paragraphs.
I don't want to.
Wayne County, where Highland Park is located, has an aggressive asset forfeiture program, particularly for cars.
No shit.
It seized more than 2,600 vehicles between 2017 and 2019, ranking in more than $1.2 million in asset forfeiture revenues, according to a public records obtained by a Michigan think tank. Hold on.
This is what they go for.
Of those 2,600 vehicles, 473 were not accompanied by a criminal conviction, and 438 of those 473, there was no charge for any crime.
So they didn't charge anybody.
Yeah, hold on for that.
That's in 10 cases, the cars were seized under the suspicion of drug violation, even though records say police did not find any drugs.
Suspicion. This is, oh my God, I hate the word fucking suspicion because all they do is they steal your shit, they rape you and rob you, rake you over the fucking coals because they think you might have done something wrong.
I got one more paragraph. Well, just one more short paragraph.
Oh, you're going to cause me to have a fucking aneurysm.
I am, and I apologize in advance.
You apologize to the family because I'm the one who's going to die.
Wayne County prosecutors typically offered to settle such forfeiture cases and return the owner's car for a $900 payment plus towing and storage fees.
You stole my fucking car.
You stole my shit.
To buy
you
it
stole
back?
my shit. You want me to? No, fuck you. This is
I
why I switched
gotta
to this
say,
patch right fucking here.
I
Always keep your fucking weapon by your side. Fuck you.
I gotta say, I mean, if they sent me that email, I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's really interesting.
Exactly. Fuck you. Lick my fucking balls, you piece of shit.
We can give it back to you if you. Yeah, that's great. That's
so
no,
you don't like that. You guys aren't down for that idea then?
No.
Yeah, no.
Fuck
yeah,
you. You know what? Right here. Dave, you're in the chat. I'm repping you right now. Fuck you.
Yeah,
going straight to the boogaloo fucking shark.
Wayne County prosecutors typically offer to settle such forfeiture cases and return the owner's car for a $900 payment plus towing and storage fees.
Or I can buy a bulldozer and go get my car. How about that? Can do that.
I can switch back to this hat too. I'm good.
We keep referencing Hemer because this is the definition of pushing reasonable men to do unreasonable things.
No shit. God damn it. Detroit needs a St. Hemeyer to just level the entire city.
You know, the funny thing is you would think that people in Detroit would stand up more to shit like this because remember, they dealt with the Purple Gang, right? They dealt with some of the nastiest, most violent gangs.
Don't read that one. Don't read that one on there. Don't read this one on there.
Oh, I'm not gonna.
You have to watch the video to see this one.
If you watch the video, you can see the.
Yeah, we're not reading this one.
It's
love the profile pic too.
Yeah, they dealt with the Purple Gang. They dealt with, and the Purple Gang, remember, was so nasty and violent that when Al Capone showed up and tried to muscle them out so that he could just take over, he wound up getting the people he sent. He wound up getting like their heads and hands back in boxes with a note like, "We'll negotiate with you, but you don't come at us like this." Like that's how nasty the Purple Gang was. Mm-hmm. Like my grandfather worked for them. My great grandfather worked for them, and he was a Detroit cop. So,
hey, money's money.
Hold on.
If you say this right here, I'm pulling the patch out. If you say this,
it does.
I'm gonna jump on a plane and come out there and beat the shit out of you right now.
So fucking help me.
Two paragraphs. Deldon, who is the couple's lawyer, says though that the Cosbowls forfeiture case was never properly routed through the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
No,
the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office did not immediately return a request for comment. In a statement to WXYZ Detroit, a spokesman for the prosecutor's office said it was unaware that the city was negotiating its own settlement.
Oh, so you mean that it's just blatantly a criminal enterprise, like really blatantly a criminal enterprise? I am shocked. I am shocked that a town near Detroit would in any way possibly be incredibly corrupt. I refuse to believe.
This is the only proper answer now.
The couple has possession of the building back, but they're still continuing with their lawsuit.
Oh yeah, I fucking would too. I'd be like,
absolutely.
Scorched fucking earth on them, man.
Yeah,
own that city, own it.
And as a backup plan for the fucking lawsuit, maybe embrace your inner Hemeyer. Just saying.
Options.
I'm just saying.
There are other options.
If you have a friend that owns a bulldozer and you have another friend that's a welder, invite them over for a few beers.
Yeah,
I'm not a bad welder. I'm not a great welder, but I'm not a bad welder.
I'm not a terrible welder. I mean, I was trained by somebody who's a professional.
I don't own a bulldozer, but I do know somebody who has one for sale.
I actually do know a couple of people who have extra bulldozers. They have like a stable of them. They wouldn't necessarily object to one going missing for the proper reason.
Speaking of bulldozers, I do want to point out.
I can't wait to post this article tomorrow.
And
tag Magnus in it.
Oh my god.
Oh man, Magnus is gonna lose his shit.
I do want to point out, speaking of bulldozers, that remember, military vehicles don't actually need keys. and National Guard Armory parking lots. Very
Brandenburg
often
v.
around
Ohio,
guarded.
1969.
Options. I'm just saying there are
Minecraft.
options.
There are
Minecraft.
options in Minecraft. I would never condone somebody doing these things,
But
but
if you were pushed to that
if
point,
you were
it would
pushed
be
to that point,
reasonable.
I would understand. I would understand
Oh, let's
if
talk
you were
about
to
that
go
off
and
a
meet
Google product, huh?
that awful what?
Off a Google product. Because we're on
Google
YouTube
product?
right now. It's a Google product.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Let's maybe not. Dude,
Yeah.
it's.
No.
I'm
this
just saying,
will
like,
be on Rumble if you want the unedited version.
If you can't find us tomorrow, let's find the video on Telegram.
if we get droned,
Telegram, Rumble. I mean, there
Odyssey,
are
Odyssey won't delete
alternatives.
us.
Odyssey won't delete
I
us.
know.
Rumble won't delete us.
I know Jeremy Kaufman. Odyssey won't delete us.
I just want to point out there are options.
There are options. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay, well, speaking of that,
Like,
you
oh,
guys-
that's interesting. Or I could, hit City Hall with an artillery piece. I don't know.
you know,
Hold on,
if I
hold on.
had an artillery piece to shoot it from,
hold on.
honestly, from my house to the City Hall here, that's not it. It's well within range.
Dude, in World War II, German 88 has a range of like 2 miles.
It's about, you just have to do the math. That's all I'm saying. You just have to be good at math.
Speaking of good at math, happy birthday, Uncle Ted. Turned 80 today.
Hey! Not that he'll watch this because, it's
Options exist. I'm just saying.
technology. and whatnot, but-
Uncle Ted may not have gone about the right way, but he definitely showed a way that is influential.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it's not like
I'm talking
there's a
about
lot
education. I'm talking about education, not the male thing.
Oh no, I was just saying, the things that he did, I don't necessarily agree with, but he definitely brought
got his
up a
point
lot of
across.
very valid points.
Industrial Society in its future is a fantastic read.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of points in there that just you'll just go whoa. But speaking of whoa, I got a quote from you. Former Fox News correspondent Carl Cameron, he was on MSNBC with Nicole Wallace. Quote, "It really is kind of horrible to think that journalists with national and international capacity are putting together this type of nonsense. I think the president did a great job. I wish he had done it a lot sooner." He's talking about Tucker Carlson.
Anytime somebody says the president, when you're talking about the current administration, did a good job.
Yes. Okay. I wish he had done
it's
a lot
satire.
sooner. They're talking about Tucker Carlson and the disinformation. I think the president did a great job. I wish he had done this a lot sooner. Talk about the disinformation board. We have a lot more from the left and in the middle, or we need a lot more from the left and the middle. And we got to watch out because the Republicans have become a purveyor of misinformation. And when our two-party system is broken like that, democracy is in serious trouble.
You're fucking concerned.
Hold on. The president acknowledged that it's time to actually start doing things and maybe taking some names and putting people in jail.
Fuck you. I have a right to speak my goddamn mind. Lick my balls.
These people really are saying all the quiet parts out loud now. I mean, like, they really are.
Look around, Andrew. I mean, it's looking where you live. There are a plethora of people who are openly calling for gulags now for people who happen to disagree with the official narrative. I mean, I work with a number of hardcore lefties who happen to believe that is the case. And I actually heard one of them say the other day in the cafeteria that they would be okay with people who speak out against what the government is trying to do because the government is altruistic. They would be okay with them being lined up on the street and put in a mass grave. I actually heard that said out fucking loud.
This quote was said the day before the House on a party line vote passed the Domestic Violence Extremism Act.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So we're all terrorists now. and we're all going to end up in a cage.
Honestly, all of us on this show have been labeled as domestic terrorists for a while, which is
it's
ironic.
It's a label I wear proudly.
Oh, I wear it proudly.
I won't wind up in a cage. I don't know about
Oh,
you
no,
guys,
no.
but a cage is not where I'm going.
I was telling my oldest kids the other day, I fully expect to die in a pile of hot brass.
Yeah, Anarchy Among Friends is not endorsed by the government.
Nope.
Oh, hell no.
Should I grab my not legal in California and New York?
There's nothing left. There's nothing legal in California.
God, no.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to get out of there, man. I'd come and visit, but fuck, I don't want to set foot in that state.
California's
I
terrible.
am going straight to the join or die.
Well, me and Magnus were talking about doing, like, once FPC wins all of its cases in New York, doing an armed protest in New York City right through Times Square.
That'd be fantastic.
Yep. Oh, okay.
You got to put that last comment from Dave on there. Us too, man. Us too.
Oh,
it'd be fantastic.
Yes.
I will never be put in a cage again, so it'll be the ground. Actually, I hope we all get the same.
You're
close together, unmarked grave.
Funeral plots. Yeah, I'm hoping our funeral plots are close together. Maybe we'll throw in the same mass grave. Who knows?
Same mass grave would be cool. Kind of like at the end of Glory, when they throw the.
What's the video? The video I showed. I'll have to send you the video, Dave.
Oh, the
video the other day about
right?
the guy's talking to, like, he's looking down at the camera like he's talking to his buddy in the coffin, and he goes, "Hey, buddy, if you wish you would have told us. There's like 18 federal agents around, and they're asking questions. I put your vest on you and loaded it with tannerite."
Yeah,
I know. Things get too spicy.
Yeah, if things get too spicy, I'm gonna blow this bitch up. I know it's the way you wanted to. I know it's the way
that's what you would have wanted.
Yeah,
exactly.
For future reference, that is what I would have wanted. So,
exactly.
I'm in the same boat. Absolutely. Everybody who knows me knows that that's the case.
Yeah.
Well, I've always said that when I die, I want to be scattered at Disneyland, and also I don't want to be cremated. So.
Oh. But, speaking of gun control, congressional gun banners introduced extremist federal gun license bill.
Oh, this is.
You want to read it?
It's completely compatible with the second. No, it's fucking not.
It's the only reason they're able to say that it's compatible with the Second Amendment is because when legal challenges to FOID in places like Illinois, Minnesota, and other such locations have been challenged, it's been upheld by the courts. That's the only reason they're able to say that.
Yeah. So, a trio
I'll read it if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's fine.
Into it.
So, a trio of perennial Capitol Hill gun banners have introduced legislation that would require American citizens to obtain a federal license from the Department of Justice before they could buy or receive a firearm, with periodic mandatory relicensing and training.
Fuck you, no.
It's a well-regulated militia.
Yeah. New Jersey Democrat senators, I know that shocks everyone that they're from New Jersey.
If you remember the first magazine, the first high-capacity magazine that popped up on the 3D printed site, it was called the Menendez magazine.
Yeah, it's Cory Booker and Bob Mendez. And remember, Booker was another one that I memed the shit out of when he was looking at possibly running for president in 2016 or in 2020. And Connecticut Democrat Senator Richard Blumenthal, yet another surprise name, I'm sure, for many people, are behind
exactly
the
boring sandwich
measure,
license this dick.
Dubbed the Federal Firearm Licensing Act. As noted by Politico, the DOJ license would require both a written firearm safety test and hands-on training, a criminal background check, and submission of fingerprints and proof of identity. The license would only be available to people over 21 years of age, laughs in FPC victory in California, essentially raising the age of gun ownership to 21. Quote, the bill would amend Chapter 44 of Title 18. Right up front, the legislation states, quote, it shall be unlawful for any individual to purchase or receive a firearm unless the individual has a valid federal firearm license. But there's more, and it's disturbing.
Oh.
Hang on. I just want to say I brought a welcome, a young mind who's been shaped by freedom.
Oh, that's right.
Right here. She's just wanted to stop in and say hi to the crowd.
She's got no headphones on. She can't hear us. We're good.
Yeah, she's on her way to bed. So give him a wave.
So the Attorney General shall issue or deny a license under this section not later than 30 days after the date on which the applicant for such license is received. 30 days? You want the ATF to 30 days?
A month to just hem and haw and make you wait.
Not only that, how long does it take for like a Form 1?
I know
8
people.
months?
Yeah, I know people who have waited almost a year to get approval for.
Although I was
me-
just talking to our
me
friends at the local gun store, and they said that the last couple of Form ones they processed came back in 30 days.
It took me 6 months to get a rejection letter from my CCL.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah. But it's only a Class D misdemeanor to carry without a license.
So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
It's a felony. It's a felony to have more than 10 rounds. But it's a Class D to carry your firearm.
Yeah. California
Wow.
laws.
Each license issued under this section shall be valid for the purchase of a single firearm, which
You
shall
have
be
to
purchased not
reapply
later
for
than 30
every
days after
firearm.
the date on which it's licensed. So it's in 2 paragraphs. The Booker-Blumenthal-Mendez bill reduces a constitutionally protected fundamental right to the level of a heavily regulated government privilege. Proof of that is underscored by a remark from Booker in his press release in which he compares the right to keep and bear arms to driving a car, which conveniently is not mentioned anywhere in the Bill of Rights.
Also, cars kill more people than guns.
Significantly. This bill moves us in the right direction and is based on a simple concept. If you need a license to drive a car, you should need one to buy and possess a gun. I don't believe in licenses for cars either, motherfucker.
I don't think anybody either in the chat or on this podcast believes in licenses for cars or for driving.
I don't believe in licenses for anything.
No,
I
should be able to go down to my local pond and catch a couple of bluegill to bring
I'm a
home for
huge
dinner
fan of Darwin.
without your fucking permission.
I am a huge fan of Darwin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's my most famous meme is a neighbor of a friend of mine shoving his foot into a running wood chipper to push a stick in, and with the caption, "I'm not saying remove warning label," or "I'm not saying kill stupid people. I'm saying remove warning labels." The problem
And let
should
the problem
sort
fix
itself out
relatively quickly.
The anti-gun trio figures that they can capitalize on the tragic May 14th, 2022 shooting at a top supermarket in Buffalo, New York. The New York Times is reporting that with the current 50-50 makeup of the Senate, restrictive gun control legislation doesn't have much of a chance to advance. However, in the aftermath of the Buffalo shooting, quote, Democrats on Capitol Hill were publicly conceding that their paper-thin majority in the Senate meant there was very little they would be able to do to prevent the next tragedy.
To answer what Broski's question in the chat, he says, doesn't that mean you'd need a separate license for each gun?
Yes.
Every single firearm purchase that you want to make would require you to go through a training class for each firearm.
This is essentially the same thing as
it's a 5-year license.
This is essentially the same thing as like what South Africa has, right? Where South Africa, every gun you get has a specific
South Africa's
license.
totally safe.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the very first one that you buy is generally going to be your defense gun. Even if you're like, oh no, I'm not getting my defense gun yet. This one's for sporting
self-defense
purposes.
law 50.
Every single fucking firearm you buy is a self-defense gun. I don't care what it is.
It's my self-defense I made too.
It's not going to be a self-defense Calibri. I'm just pointing out that
You know, just because
I'm going
I
to
have
really
an M1,
irritate the guy
Nah.
attacking me.
just because I have an M134A mounted at the top of my stairs, it is a self-defense weapon. All right,
It's an emotional support Bofors. All right.
right? I like to pet my Claymore Roomba to make me feel better. All right.
The boom.
Oh,
Eh,
I am very
Yeah.
vulnerable. I need a Vulcan.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the no. This
The
fucking-
brrr calms my nerves.
yeah. It's an anti-anxiety
it is
6-inch
a-
naval gun.
Yeah,
It
there you
is
go.
amazing just how cathartic that brrr sound actually is.
Oh, it really is. Yeah.
Unless
I mean,
you're on the
I could fall
receiving
asleep.
end of it.
Calming.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't care about the one on the
Well, it's
receiving end of
also
it. For
death
me,
is incredibly
incredibly
peaceful, so it's
cathartic.
still calming on the receiving end.
Well, that's true.
Just
It's
a
hard to be
different
panicked
kind of
when you're
calming.
dead or cut in half. I mean,
yeah, it's just a permanent form of calming.
Oh,
The ultimate
radiation
form of
the
calming.
radiation from the depleted uranium rounds keep me warm.
Well, see, and this really, yeah, see,
That warm
See,
glow
it-
at night.
depleted uranium shouldn't be all that radioactive.
Yeah, I have nightmares. I need the depleted uranium rounds for the glow.
it's my nightlight.
They
My
don't
I'm
nightlight.
afraid of the dark.
You can handle DU rounds. They're fine. They're not
I promise
actually all
they're
that
not going to give you
radioactive.
cancer.
They're not.
I'm in
they're
California.
not that
Everything's
radioactive.
gonna give me cancer.
Everything in California gives you cancer,
Like-
but
like,
only in
there's-
California.
There's a cancer warning on the fishing weights.
I actually have a patch somewhere. I couldn't find it for tonight. That said, "Warn or danger: the person wearing this patch is carrying bullets containing lead, which is known to the state of California."
Yeah.
to cause cancer."
The new one now, condors aren't dying of lead; they're dying of mercury,
Oh, for crying! Yeah, well,
which they're
because they
getting
proved-
from the plants.
Yeah, which they proved, that elemental lead does not leach into groundwater. It does not affect, other wildlife.
well,
Elemental lead doesn't do that. Like,
No.
this is ridiculous.
It's
I got a-
incredibly
I got a
stable.
I got a quote from Bob Mendez. Quote, "The Federal Firearms Licensing Act would put in place a certification process that includes firearms safety training and a thorough criminal background and identity check requiring the licensee to be 21 years of age.
Hmm.
Hey,
We have-
Mr.
hold on,
Mendez.
We
Go
have
ahead.
a moral obligation to prevent these senseless massacres in our schools, supermarkets, places of worship, and shopping malls that are tearing communities and families apart.
You know what
It's
all of those
mine-
have in
it's
Give people
my
the
hope-
fucking ability to protect
It
them
is-
goddamn
it is
selves.
my hope that my Republican colleagues will once and for all recognize the urgency of action and join us in passing this legislation before more lives are senselessly lost to gun violence."
Yep. I love the patch, Andrew. I haven't seen that
Yeah.
one before. I love the patch.
Or how
and
about fuck
Miss-
you? I won't do what you tell me.
Right? Mr. Mendez, all I have to say is say when.
No, Mendez is
Come get him, bitch.
he's known for a long time. He tried to ban high capacity magazine or standard capacity magazines back in like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, I was
That's-
gonna say
those
this.
sons of
this
bitches
is not-
from the East Coast, especially from
No.
New England, have been trying so hard to ban not
Mendez
just
is worse than that. Mendez is from New Jersey.
Oh yeah,
I
this
consider
is
them part
not
of the
high
Northeast.
capacity. This is standard
Yes.
capacity.
I would like to point
I would
out
love
actually
some high
that
capacity max.
this right here, I mean, granted, yes, this is a PCC, also in the
Ew!
Lord's favorite cal-
Nintendo,
it's
Ew!
10 millimeter. It's 10
10
millimeter.
millimeter.
It's a PCC. You should. Be
It is the
ashamed of
Lord's
yourself.
caliber. Shut up. Shut your commie mouth. It is the Lord's caliber.
Hey, I'm holding a commie rifle right now. Like,
Shut your commie mouth too.
I'm holding an AKM. Fuck you.
Hey, to be honest, the only thing socialism ever built that worked was the
Yeah, it was
AK,
the AK, which is what all these fucking socialists keep trying to ban.
right.
Oh,
The one thing that built
now the other one that they want to ban now is body armor. They're going after civilian ownership. Hold on, they're going after civilian ownership of body armor.
That's because they don't want us to protect ourselves from their fucking asses.
They're going after civilian ownership of body armor because a mass shooter shot people while wearing body armor. It's like so the one thing that people could wear passively to protect themselves from a mass shooter, they want to ban because a mass shooter wore it.
Boring Sandwich. This is not my only 10mm, and that's all I have to say on the matter.
He has 3 of them in his tools box. He stole one of them from me.
None of this. This is not an imminent threat to anyone. This, unless you're wielding it like this.
Jason, for Christmas last year, I actually got a gift set of 10mm sockets, which was
wasn't there a confirmed kill in like OIF or OEF from a guy using like the side plate?
I don't know about the side plate, but I saw there was a confirmed kill of a guy using the spoon from an MRE.
That was actually a joke on Duffel Blog.
Yeah,
was it? All right, that's disappointing.
Yeah. The side plate may also be a joke or one of those.
This is a side plate.
Yes, right. Yeah.
You know,
kill somebody with that.
What, broski? Yeah. I will say this: High Point is not the superior firearm.
Okay.
But you know what?
Not High Point. Okay, not High Point, but HIGH Point.
Yes, that HIGH Point is fantastic.
Point, Firearms on Facebook is fucking on fire. It is absolutely fantastic.
Their dressing down of XD and their Croatian magic is fucking fantastic.
The Notice Me Simpa memes to Brandon Herrera are absolute fucking internet gold.
But I will say this. In a pinch, a High Point does work really well as a bludgeon.
If High Point sold parts kits, they would be the most popular parts kits on the market.
I would really prefer a high power. Yeah, that's
talk about Browning.
Yeah, the gun that Browning designed because the 1911 sucked, and he realized it and needed to improve.
Yes.
All right, we don't need to talk about gun control anymore. Let's get into this. Let's get into Somalia.
Are you telling me to put this away?
No, I'm not telling you to put it away. It's okay. It's your pride flag. It's fine. You can wear it.
Hey, it's 10mm.
It's a PCC.
It's still 10mm.
It's a PCC.
I'll put my 10mm PCC up against some of your intermediate calibers.
Can I point out? I was gonna say, can I point out though that like technically like a 4570 is effectively a PCC.
That's true story.
So
44 mag is a PCC technically.
If you could, oh my god, I still want to build a PCC that uses 500 Smith & Wesson because I'm a sick fuck and I think it
exists.
Would be amazing.
No, it exists. I have seen it. It does exist.
I really want one.
If you make a 5.56 pistol, is that technically a PCC?
Fuck your 5.56 pistols unless you want to be the bullet magnet.
Yeah, I was on an op once and watched a guy. Me and 2 of my buddies are down below, and there's like 4 guys up on the rooftop, and it's like late evening, and he's got a 10.5-inch barrel, 5.56, and no suppressor, and he goes, boom. And it's just like all of a sudden, every single gun that had been pointed at everybody else just kind of rotates and aims at him. And he's like, oh!
I mean, if your entire goal is to be a distraction so everybody else can get the enemy,
don't kink shame me, bro.
A PCC in 5.56 is a fantastic option.
I felt
so bad. If your goal is survival, maybe pick a different option.
I mean, the fire off of it was like this long.
Oh god!
And like you could see that.
It's no different than when you shoot. If you know somebody who likes to shoot Mosins, and they pull out an M44 or a T53.
Yeah, I had one of the guys that I first learned from. He had a 7.5-inch 5.56 pistol. That was his CQB weapon.
I mean, if you want to ignite, if you want to kill one person in a room, ignite everybody else in the room on fire and deafen everybody else in the next room, it's a fantastic option.
Oh,
yeah, it's
we go to the range and there would be no one, like in the 2 bays next to him.
yeah.
Well, no,
my
because they'd
God,
break their fucking eardrums.
Jesus.
The dust,
That's
the
just
dust
stupid.
kicking up was just bad.
That's just stupid.
But
When
speaking of dust,
I was at the range the other day, and two sons of bitches next to me on the bench were sitting there with fucking everything they had was 6 inches or shorter, and they had 5.56, 9mm
There you go.
PCCs, everything. It's
dual
like, God,
dual
damn it.
utility.
Yeah,
Dual
I was gonna
utility.
say it's basically a flashbang that also sends out a bullet.
It's a projectile flashbang.
It's
But it's
just
a
like
bullet that doesn't have anything behind it because all of that unburned powder came out the fucking muzzle.
I mean, it's it'll also cauterize the
Angry
wound.
pocket
as
sand. It's angry pocket sand.
Yeah,
More or
very
less, yeah.
Spicy pocket sand.
Spicy pocket
Yeah,
sand. There you go.
there's well,
I mean,
unless
if you threw a gasoline bomb in first and just coated everybody with gasoline and then set off a couple of rounds, now you have an effective weapon
Yeah,
system.
I tell you what, in Rambo, if rather than an M60, if he had like a little fucking AR, it wouldn't have taken 6 or 7 rounds to ignite that black powder to blow up that thing. He could have just fired 1 round, and it's a guaranteed ignition.
Oh
Right?
goodness. Yes. There's an image in my head.
Boom. I always
right.
laugh about that in movies, though, where they like shoot with no ear protection. People are just shooting back and forth in enclosed spaces like hallways and rooms and like in sewer tunnels. And I'm like, man, I have fired with ear protection in enclosed spaces some of these weapons, and you are going. So anybody that's downrange, they're not shooting back because their ears are now bleeding.
Their entire
profusely.
vestibular system is completely fucked at this point.
Yeah, they're just like,
You don't have to hit them. You just have to pull a trigger in their general direction,
Bang.
and they're deaf. Their entire vestibular system is fucked.
Like
Yeah,
the
I
guy
actually
like the guy rocking the 240 in the movie Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, like that guy.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. I actually had that fucking happen. I had a guy fire a fucking, but it wasn't a 240. It was a Ma Deuce. And I was standing just forward and underneath that fucking barrel, and he lets loose, and I'm like, I am going to kill you, you son of a bitch. Oh my God.
Andrew's on the ground, writhing in pain, holding his ears.
I threw myself to the ground because he's also firing like 4.5 inches over my fucking head. Like,
see, if you just had a Comfort AT4, you wouldn't be you wouldn't be so upset about it.
I should have told him, like, dude, I'm gonna put a claymore next to your cot. Like, that's gonna happen now.
Attach a claymore to his hand. He goes to scratch himself in the middle of the night, blows himself up.
Like do the Tom Jane Punisher thing with the you must work out. It only weighs about 8 pounds, not much. Try isometrics.
Isometrics is fucking insane.
You killed my son. Ah, bang. Both of them.
Let's see. We don't want to talk about that yet. We want to talk about killing sons. CIA trained militia used U.S.-made weapons in deadly attack.
What a shock!
I am astonished. I have no words.
Oh, this is you. First off, you absolutely knew this was coming.
Yep.
Because we've heard this story again and again and again. So at least 22 people, including 2 children, were killed and dozens more injured by U.S.-made weapons that were directly supplied to a Somali counterterrorism force that split and fought internally over control of U.S.-supplied assets.
I just want to point out here again. This is the government's security force are currently fighting among themselves, engaging in actual deadly combat with each other over who gets all of the cool shit that the U.S. left behind.
Yes. At least 22 people, including 2 children, were killed and dozens more injured by U.S.-made weapons that were directly supplied to a Somali counterterrorism force that split and fought internally over control of U.S.-supplied assets.
Because it's almost like if you leave children with a giant pile of toys.
Right?
The deadly violence took place late last year over days
If only
of
they
battles
left some crayons behind for people to eat.
among
instead.
fighters from the Puntland Security Force, that is the PSF, a militia that the CIA created, and which U.S. Navy SEALs have been mentoring since the early 2000s.
Not just the SEALs, but the SEALs take credit for everything. Let them have it. Fucking glory.
Well, that's what their books say. The PSF was built to fight the Al-Qaeda-backed militant group Al-Shabaab. Its headquarters are in Shabab.
Al-Shabaab.
Al-Shabaab.
Shebang, shaboom,
Shebang,
shabam.
shebang. I'm just calling it Al-Shebang, shebang, shimu, shimu.
Oh man.
Great minds think alike, Andrew.
That is going to be, if I move to the Middle East and I become some sort of a terrorist, I'm going to go by the nom de guerre of Shibe, Shibe, Shimu, Shimu. And
its headquarters are in Bosaso, a major port city in Puntland, a semi-autonomous coastal state in Somalia's north.
They're all semi-autonomous.
I know. I'm just reading the article. 3 of Sakid Sadow's children, age 8, 12, and 35, were killed, and 4, that's 6, 8, 9, and 13, were injured when a mortar hit his house a little after 7 a.m. at the end of December. The children were at home because their school had been closed due to fighting.
Well, that worked out well.
Sadow works as a cook for the staff of an infrastructure company outside Bosaso, nearly 500 miles from the city. He told Vice World News he was at work in the morning of the attack and found out after receiving a call from one of his surviving sons. The mortar fire also damaged a hospital, the state house, local businesses, and along with the overall fighting, caused the reported displacement of 100,000 people, nearly half the population of Bosaso. The mortars involved in the fighting were all made in Arkansas.
Hey, I bet they're very proud of that.
Yes. The violence itself was, at least indirectly, also prompted by U.S. influence.
Well, and keep in mind, too, like people think of mortars, they tend to think of like the man-portable, the small mortars, right? They tend to think like they're this big around and you thunk, and no. These are not those mortars. These are very, very large mortars.
Yes.
These are extremely big. They're more like this. They're very big, and they can fire fairly rapidly because they are mortar. You just got to grab the round and let her go. These things cause enormous amounts of destruction.
Yeah,
and if you have 5 or 6 of them...
They're little fat boys.
Yeah, you have 5 or 6 of these things firing. It's not like a mortar is a pinpoint accurate weapon, right? Like it just kind of... and then off it goes.
And the ones that we're talking about right now are like, you know, every time you drop a round, it's Kim Jong-un coming out the barrel. I mean,
yep. Okay.
It's a chunky boy.
Violence itself, at least indirectly, also prompted by U.S. influence. The PSF, that is the Puntland Security Forces, had split and was in an internal bloody political brawl over the military resources that the U.S. had supplied the group before about 750 American military personnel withdrew in January 2021, and which was one of the final acts of Trump's administration.
So Trump finally pulls people out of a place we had absolutely no fucking business in.
Conveniently, also, the other article that we have to cover, President Joe Biden sends U.S. troops back into Somalia.
Yeah.
But,
I mean... I want to point out that, like, in Somalia, because I've done work in Somalia, and in Somalia, there are no good guys, right? Like, everybody's bad. Everybody's bad. There are no good guys. There are people who might be aligned with you today who probably aren't going to be tomorrow. Like, if you remember, you know, all of our complaints about Iraq and Afghanistan and how you couldn't be sure if the indigenous forces were actually on your side or not, and this is that times 100. Because there's 100 different factions.
They're really not. Nobody is on your side. They're just...
nobody's on your side. No, everybody's on their side.
We were
Everybody's looking for power.
We were talking about before the show started. We were talking amongst ourselves, and like the U.S. military officially has been in Somalia since 1991. Right, so that's 31 years now. So this is
how is Afghanistan the longest war in U.S. history?
Well, because it's an official war.
Yeah, this is a peacekeeping mission.
Yeah, this is a peacekeeping mission.
Somalia has been
Black Hawk Down was December something
92.
December 9th, 92.
Yeah, 92. So 20 or
9th, 10th,
29 and a half years ago.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is so you have to understand Somalia has been a training ground for people who are aspiring black ops guys for a very long time. Like you as you get trained and you learn how to do things, one of your earliest assignments historically has been Somalia, because it teaches you how to do shit. You learn how to deal, with people who are perfectly willing to fucking kill you at any moment because you said something wrong or something like that. Like it is the definition of hostile territory, because everyone is hostile, including the people you work with.
Let's cut to this article and then we'll go back to the previous article. The Biden administration announced Monday is restarting a persistent American troop presence in Somalia, citing a threat from the Al-Qaeda affiliate Al-Shabaab Shabang Shaboom, and reversing the Trump administration's withdrawal of American troops from the region. Quote, the president has authorized the Department of Defense to return a small, persistent U.S. military presence in Somalia. That's according to Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby.
He said the reason that we're there? I mean, like,
I have an alternate solution.
Hold on.
We talked about this in the pre-show.
We're going to beat around the bush. We're going to beat around the bush on that answer.
No, we've done that enough twice.
He said the decision was based on a request from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, with advice from senior military commanders, who was also based on the concern for the safety of the U.S. troops who have, quote, incurred additional risk by deploying in and out of Somalia on an aesthetic basis for the past 16 months. So
calling them troops is not quite.
Hold on. So they're sending troops to Somalia because the troops there have incurred additional risks because they've been going back and forth in and out of Somalia.
There are certain things that get done in Somalia that you can't do anywhere else.
Yes.
And without going into detail that will get me arrested, like 100% will get me arrested. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with moving things from one group to another that you can't openly move. Because of things like international sanctions and such.
Hold on, you're reading ahead of me. Quote, we are proud, first and foremost, to be supporting the Somalis' own efforts to rebuild their own state, and we are working closely with our international partners.
Motherfuckers haven't given two squirts of piss about their own state in 40 fucking years.
Hold on.
They didn't even build their own state. It was foreign investments that built.
Right? Kirby said U.S. troops will continue their missions to train, advise, and assist Somali partner forces to, quote, disrupt, degrade, and monitor Al-Shabaab.
So we're just worried about Al-Shabaab.
This has some serious, pre-9/11 Afghanistan feel to it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Our forces, quote, our forces are not now or will be directly engaged in combat operations.
That's what they always say.
The purpose is to enable a more effective fight against Al-Shabaab by local forces.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. It's well
how did Bruce, training those Afghanis work out for you?
Yeah, it worked real so Bruce Wayne, his comment I think deserves to be put up on the screen here. The which reiteration of the Iran-Contra affair are we on now?
Yep.
Let's see. There was Iran. There was Honduras, Panama, Colombia, Honduras, Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Libya, Egypt.
Libya, Egypt, probably Libya again 2 or 3 more times.
Ukraine,
Yemen, Oman.
Yep, Yemen several times.
Yeah, a lot of Yemen.
I run
Mali.
So
Don't forget Mali.
Mali. It's an unknowable number. Have you ever been to? Well, you guys haven't been to Mali.
Don't forget Central Africa.
I've been to Mali.
Central Africa Command has been just
Congo,
the
DRC,
the DRC. Oh my god,
dude! I loved the DRC. Like running ops there is so much fun because, like, one, it's an absolutely beautiful country. It's absolutely beautiful.
Do you get to wear Rhodesian camo?
Not quite. Technically, it looks like Rhodesian camo, but officially, it's another country's brushstroke. It's Belgian, I think, officially, but it is basically the brushstroke. What's really cool about it, like, because we ran counter poaching ops there and like helped. In particular, a group called the Black Mambas. You can Google them; they're super fucking cool. It's an all-female anti-poaching group.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super cool. Just absolutely awesome. But we did a lot of that. That's actually where I watched an elephant kill a guy. That was
Josh,
super cool.
if she's topless on your lap, you need to turn your camera
on.
No, don't do that. I love being told. Actually, pre-show we were talking about when people go, well, if you don't like taxes, move to Somalia. You have to pay taxes in Somalia, and the guns are literally to your head. It's not implied; it's a literal thing.
Our taxes are arming them in Somalia.
Yeah, and as it is, our taxes are arming them. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous.
Right, yeah, so back to the previous article. When they withdrew last year, U.S. forces took the majority of their arms with them, but U.S.-made mortars, as well as guns from other sources like battered AK-47s, among other kit, remain. An internal security assessment leaked to Vice notes that the mortar shells caused the death and destruction in Baswalo at the end of 2021, quote, a mixture of 81 2mm as well as 60mm mortar shells.
The comment from Bruised Wayne is fucking hysterical.
All right, Bruce says, does the U.S. government have a punch card going like at some places? Free attack on the homeland after every 10 actions funded. Oh, that needs to be memed. I want to.
Oh, that's fantastic! I love it.
Oh, it's a loyalty card. It's pretty great.
That is gold.
They just gave them to us. We don't even have to pay anything for them. They just send them out.
Yeah, that one is. I saved that one.
I'm saving mine up.
I favored that one. We'll save it for later. We're gonna turn that one into a meme.
I get access to 3 commercial airliners after every 15.
They didn't teach us how to land, though. Caused much of the destruction in Baswado at the end of 2020. A mixture of the 81 2mm as well as 60mm mortar shells were fired into the civilian community, killing and wounding a number of civilians. So 60mm is 6 centimeters, which is
large.
2 2.25 inches.
Yeah,
2.25 inches.
over 2 inches.
And then 81mm is
So, like, imagine a can this size, but loaded with explosive and traveling at supersonic speeds.
Yes.
Yep.
It's unfortunate to get hit by this. You are not going to be a happy person.
Yes.
You're not going to be.
You are probably going to be heading for your 72 virgins.
Yes. Some of the mortars that the U.S. left behind had been made for training purposes. and the PSF also deployed those wildly in the fight. Quote, the shelling seemed to have been random and into civilian areas, the report says. Indeed, photos and video from the Somali news and others shared on social media from the time of the fighting shows buildings and shops peppered with holes.
Anybody else getting some serious like first Iron Man movie vibes where that mortar lands next to him and all he sees is Stark and then it blows up in his face?
Yeah, but I mean that's the reason that's written that way is because that is legit like a thing. Like that happens all the time. When we were in Afghanistan, we regularly got attacked by American-made munitions from the 1970s and 80s.
All right. Mm-hmm. The PSF has been considered one of the most successful militias in countering the Al-Shabaab, and Puntland is one of Somalia's most comprehensive, stable states.
Puntland is stable when you're talking about Somalia is a really relative term.
At approximately 600 strong, the group is largely autonomous, operating independently of Somali government control. Exactly who owns the PSF and its many assets, especially a U.S.-funded compound in Boswala, which houses potential or plentiful weapons, has never been explicitly stated. The lack of clarity was a significant contribution, or the lack of clarity was a significant contributor to the tensions in the PSF when the U.S. withdrew. Quote, the U.S. trained and equipped forces and left us without making the proper handover and configuration.
I feel like we've had this conversation about the U.S. abandoning foreign forces before.
There's a name in red flash in my head right now. Charlie Wilson.
Not even just Charlie Wilson, Henry Kissinger. Charlie Wilson's War. If you've never seen it, you should watch it. It's actually pretty good.
Well, just in more recent memory for people that are more concerned about current events. Look at what happened not even a year ago in Afghanistan, where we left behind billions of dollars of hardware, which ironically is now available on eBay if you're willing to pay.
I was going to say actually, I'm reliably informed what very reasonably priced. Should you want, for instance, an AKA is going to run you about $120. M4s and fucking HK416s and things right around like $400-$500.
You can get an APC for a couple grand.
15 grand, yeah. Miles said 15 grand was what he was offered.
Yes,
to buy one.
The PSF is a legacy of the militias that the U.S. armed and backed in the early early 2000s in the name of combating terrorism. The CIA began building up the force in 2002, and about a decade ago, Navy SEALs took over the mission and training and supported the unit. In creating it, the U.S. empowered a single-family dynasty that directed the militia for 3 generations.
Yeah, if you don't write a book about your experiences, were you ever really a SEAL? I mean,
right?
It'll be the next Tom Clancy novel.
Yes, first Osman Abdulhi Diano, then 2 of his sons ran the group. In 2018, Mohammed Dino replaced his brother Assad Dino, who ran up against current president of Puntland for the sake of the leadership role. Their mother was the head of the projects and logistics support to the PSF. Other family members were put in similarly plum positions. This primed the family to stand up to various other entities related to security, especially allegedly a fuel company, which further benefited from American counterterrorism support.
So they're propping these people up just like they're propping up Joe Biden on a dolly every time they roll his ass out to the podium.
You have to remember, though, this is a region of the world that is historically incredibly factional, a region that is incredibly tribal, and that without European colonization would never have become the countries that it became.
Yeah, we're about to.
Well, it's the same thing with the Middle East.
We're going to get into the cusp of that. As the U.S. withdrew in early 2021, Somali politics was becoming an increasingly tense. At the end of the year in late November, the current president of Puntland fired the director of the PSF. He fired the director of the militia for vague reasons, allegedly relating to issues with promotions. The PSF director, however, refused to leave, arguing that his family owned the PSF. The group then divided itself between loyalties to the two directors. Reports suggest that most PSF soldiers stayed with the force itself and the new commander, but the ones that remained loyal allegedly had access to the better U.S.-made weapons and controlled the compound, allowing them to mount a fierce fight.
We call that a civil war.
Yeah, that's a CIA created armed trained militia fighting a CIA armed trained funded militia for control.
Yeah,
Also
and
known as just
remember,
about every civil war
Arms.
that's happened in modern memory.
yeah, well, and remember that the PSF is entirely the product of the agency.
Oh, that's literally what it says.
Yeah,
it says
it flat out.
The CIA created the PSF and put this family essentially in charge of the militia. And then the president of Puntland decided to fire the head of the militia. And the head of the militia said no.
Yeah,
Fuck
he
you,
basically
Nathan.
said you don't have the power to do that.
That's your tax dollars at work, America.
See, and that's the thing is like the agency regularly engages in things like that all over the world, and its operatives and contractors regularly assist.
Literally worse than January 6th.
I don't know about that. I mean, that was pretty traumatizing.
That was an actual insurrection on our own soil. I don't understand.
Whereas this is just brown people in some country that I couldn't find on a map. But I mean, that's this is something that the CIA regularly does. This is something they've literally always done. Remember when they were the OSS? What was the OSS doing? It was setting up insurrections in Germany and and Italian held areas, and doing like that's what it was founded for. That's what they do.
Ben Stone's book Sedition, Subversion, Sabotage is based on the original OSS manual.
Yep,
it is. It's where the heck it is.
Yep. So, in response to
sitting in my library next to each other, I have this and that.
Yes. In response to the question, a representative from the U.S. Africa Command did not deny the presence of U.S.-made warriors. Representatives said through email, quote, "Though AFRICOM continues to provide assistance to Somali partner forces, the primary tool of our engagement strategy includes security force assistance programs, military-to-military engagements, and operations. All activities are closely coordinated with the U.S. Embassy country team and the government of Somalia."
Government of Somalia is
there is such a thing.
There is. They do have a government. No one recognizes them but international communities. But they technically exist. Do they get elected? Define election.
I was going to say that you have the option to vote for the incumbent, or the other ballot box is a casket. I mean,
yep. As the homies at Biting the Bullet used to say, this is what your tax dollars go to.
Yeah.
And this is what the agency does. This is what those of us who have contracted with them. This is what we did. This is it. Like that. If you want to see what it really looks like, it's Somalia, and it's this clusterfuck. That's
what it is, Andrew. We talked about it before about wanting to buy a small town somewhere and then get in on the 1033 program. No, we just need to move to Somalia, start our own militia, reach out to the CIA, and then bam, we're good.
Yeah, say, hey, look, we're fighting Al-Shabaab, and so you should give us a bunch of shit. And then they will give us a bunch of shit. Now, the downside of that is that you will actually need to fight Al-Shabaab because they will come at you. But that's the thing is like there are a lot of Somali immigrants in the United States. A lot of people don't know that. If you are in the Midwest, you are well aware, especially if you're in the northern Midwest by the Twin Cities.
So
or
if that's the
anything.
case, could we say that we're fighting Al-Shabaab at home and still get the CIA support?
Well, and the
Well,
thing is,
to
yeah,
become a domestic violence extremist.
yeah, we're a violent domestic extremist organization. No, that's the thing is like, and a lot of those Somalis are actually the Christians that were there because it's a majority Muslim country and stuff, and so a lot of the people who fled when they had an opportunity were the local Christian population that knew that they were about to be attacked by a bunch of these Muslim terrorists and stuff. But they're not any better than the rest of them. Like, there's the ones who stayed behind, even the ones who came here, like have the same kind of attitudes to violence and everything else that the rest of them do. There are no winners in this conflict. There's no good guys. There's nobody that you should morally back.
No, it's very similar to Ukraine, Russia in that respect. That like both sides suck, bro. Like there's
can all sides lose?
There's a preferred outcome. Right? I mean, but that person sucks like 0.72% less than the other person. Or the other person.
And that's all you basically get. And in a lot of these conflicts, that's exactly what happens.
Well, I mean, if you really want to look at how radical some of these do happen to be, you could always look at current House of Representative person Ilhan Abdullah Omar.
Didn't she marry her brother?
She did. That was the way she got him to stay in the U.S.
Ilhan Omar, yeah.
Yep.
But, she's actually said, I mean, like, politically, I don't agree with a lot of what she has to say, but what she said, a lot of the things that she said about that region of the world and things are just fucking dead on, where she's like, no, they're all awful. I don't like we should not be backing any of these people. They're all terrible.
Yeah.
And until you've been there and you've been part of that, you don't truly understand just how true that is. Like, seriously, none of them are good. They are all evil. In Ukraine, it's Nazis versus neo-Soviets. There is no good side.
U.S. government armed, funded, and trained Nazis.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I pointed out the other day on Twitter, I said, you remember when that whole big thing blew up because Ian McCollum wanted for Headstamp Publishing, he was going to produce the memoirs of a guy who had led the Azov, and everybody freaked out about it because they're a bunch of Nazis. And that was like less than 6 months ago.
It wasn't even 6 months ago.
And yet now all of a sudden you have all these people arguing, well, they're not really Nazis.
They're not really Nazis.
I mean, they used to be Nazis, but they're not really Nazis. Yes, they fucking are.
Never mind the pictures you keep seeing them with their shirts off and they're tattooed the fucking back with Nazi symbols.
Swastikas are just decorative.
And portraits of Adolf Hitler.
What they really are is they're just closet Tibetans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Tibetan symbol of good luck. It's
they're just moderate Nazis, bro. That's fine.
Yeah, they're not full, but I mean, like, that's what you see though, and that's the problem, is when you start trying to back horses in races you have nothing to do with, you are inevitably going to back horses that will turn around and bite you.
Yeah, so we're running short on time. Let's Josh, you want to do that thingy that you about?
Yeah, we only had 2 actual entries in our little contest.
Woo! Hard to decide.
So we're going to do a coin flip. The Soul of Silas was one, and then our own favorite Jack Curtis was the other.
Boogaloo Jack.
So I guess Jack will get the heads, and Silas will get the tails. And Silas will be the winner of the grand prize.
All right. Hey. So Silas, you will get a bag of coffee from Coffee Brand Coffee. You will also be receiving a Statue of Libertarian patch from Poppins Patches and a Ban Fossil Fools patch from Poppins Patches. You will get a discount code, good for 15% off an order. We'll throw in another Statue of Libertarian to give to your friends, and a decal or a sticker from Poppins.
Yep.
That will all be coming to you, and Jack, you will get whatever's left over.
So check
Whatever
your,
is left over.
check your Twitter messages, and they'll reach out to you guys for your mailing information.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Well, we'll hit you up.
Plugs.
so again, thank you for both of you.
Thank you for
Yeah,
trying and participating.
Yeah, the
No.
people who actually participated in the giveaway thank
Are
you
the
so much.
coolest motherfuckers on the planet.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We love
Join
you.
in the fun.
Mwah.
Yep,
Just
there's-
because we've all been visited by feds doesn't mean you will be when you get the packages. It's okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But on that note, let's throw some plugs and get out of here.
All right. Be sure to check us out on Rumble, check us out on Odyssey, check us out on MeWe. We now have a Twitter page. Follow all of those. Speaking of Twitter, make sure that you check out Boog Boogie 79, and he does the flag that's over Chris's left shoulder right now, the Wisconsin Boog
Both of
flag,
these
as
are
well
his.
as the one that's over his right, which is the igloo flag with the Boogaloo stripe. He also does a flag that is just like Chris's patch that he has on. That's the Boog Unity patch. He does a flag of that, which I have. Super cool. He's also got a bunch of other stuff. Check him out, Boog Boogie 79. Check out thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15 and you get 15% off your order so you can care for your beard like a Viking. You can get all sorts of cool scents. They have their new platinum scents. They have beard straighteners. They have stuff for ladies now, even. They don't even have to be bearded ladies.
I was
So,
gonna say,
you
if they
know,
got a straighten, if the lady's got a straighten hair and it's not on the top of her head, we need to have a discussion.
I'm not here to kink shame, bro. They they got a ton of cool stuff. Again, it's thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15 at checkout. Get 15% off of your order all the time. Be sure to read Derica's book, Think for Yourself Thinking Workbook for Critical Thinking Workbook for Beginners. It's like $10 on Amazon. It is a workbook. It's awesome. It is for beginners. Keep that in mind when you order it. It's super cool. We've been talking to Dave on the show. We are giving away a bunch of his stuff. Check out Poppins Patches. Make sure you order stuff from him. The patches are very high quality. They're very cool designs. There's also t-shirts, including the Boogalorian t-shirt that me and Chris helped create. It's super awesome.
He just dropped a new one, and he's got another one coming out Thursday.
Sounds like he's also working on the I'm a Billionaire in Venezuela shirt that we talked about today on the show.
Yeah, it's super awesome. We'll have to convince him to make some shirts for us for the show that has some of the logos I've designed and stuff. Probably not the booty one that I did the other day, but that's
and also I don't know if
cool
Andrew's done or not,
vaporwave
but
ones?
yeah, I did a couple of cool vaporwave ones the other day that are one the cyberpunk one though with the just kind of the subtle hint of booty. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm super proud of it.
All right.
Also, Andrew didn't mention them, but you got to check out RK Spookware. And I am affiliated with
discount code. There's a discount code in
the discount code down below. I'm also affiliated with the Coffee Brand Coffee,
discount
which we just
link
gave away.
Also in the description
Link
below.
is also in the description below. So go support me. Check out some great new coffee, and let's get out of here.
Yeah. Use the affiliate link for RK Spookware.
Yes.
Yep.
Use the affiliate link. You're supporting me and the channel, and we'll have a great time.
Anything else? Going once. Going twice.
Sold.
Support your local single moms. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yes.
Peace.
Yes. Peace.
Peace.